6 p.m. in Koba, in Baku subdivision, Opankam division of the West region of Cameroon. Same time in Bafoussam, which is the chief town of the West region. Good evening, dear viewers of Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for staying with us on this edition of the news. Our major stories tonight: tension erupts in Banjul, West region of Cameroon, after a man in his 40s known by the name Eric Taboue dies in police custody. Family and locals claim he was arrested for alleged theft and died hours later, contradicting police claims of death after having a malaise. Protesters took the body from the morgue, marching to the police station demanding for justice. Away from that, we'll tell you how a bitter contract dispute pitting the Port Authority of Douala, TABI, against global inspection giant Société Générale de Surveillance (SGS) takes another twist. TABI says SGS isn't doing a good job and their contract is up, but SGS says they have a valid contract until 2032. We'll be taking you through the genesis and also the evolution of that conflict. Those are top stories tonight. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television. If you're just joining us, know you're watching the 6 p.m. primetime newscast, and for presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. A fire recently broke out at the residence of the brigade commander in Galimtini in the Adamawa region. This follows a similar incident a week ago that claimed multiple lives in the same area. The cause of the latest fire is still unknown, as Siri Chakutio tells us.
The residence of the brigade commander in Galimtini was ravaged by a violent fire on Thursday, January 29, 2026. The fire incident caused significant material damage, plunging residents into shock and worry. This incident occurred just 5 days after the tragedy that claimed the lives of the divisional officer of Galimtini and his family, who were also victims of a fire outbreak at their home. It was in the Haut Plateau neighborhood. This series of tragic events raises many questions in the minds of some residents who are calling for investigations so as to determine the causes and prevent further tragedies in the area.
Natives of Nous subdivision, Dungaman subdivision.
A brutal attack known as the Gidadoad massacre occurred in the village of Gidadoad near Ntumbo in the Nous subdivision of Cameroon's northwest region. At least 14 civilians were killed and 15 others injured. The victims were primarily members of the Pastoral Bororo indigenous community, a minority group. Weeks after the horrible incident, ways to seek everlasting peace and unity was on the dialogue table in a meeting that brought together the different ethnic groups concerned.
Yeah, dialogue is a process. We have started today. We have never sat together as a family to discuss about our problems. We have started together, and we are going to continue to implement what we put here. We take vigilantes, with vigilante groups. We are going to, work together with the other communities to make sure that we live in peace. We are going to educate our people, because some people were brainwashed, and so they need education. We educate them to know that living in peace, and that is more important than anything.
The meeting was an opportunity for each and every participant to air out their minds and propose possible ways to gain the peace and unity they are all clamoring for.
I am very, very satisfied, because we have been living in fear, and then people are not able to stay in their villages.
To take initiative which goes in line with the call by the head of state for communities to involve in community dialogue I think the Wimbom and the Fulani people stood up today as one man. The message from Vikoda is very clear, that human life is sacred as far as the Wimbom culture is concerned.
New people have been a communal people living together in harmony, cohabiting with all the tribes that are here. And we pray that even after this meeting, that spirit will be revived and people will be able to live in harmony.
Gunmen stormed the village around 5:30 a.m. while residents were asleep and others performing early morning prayers. Some victims were reportedly killed inside the local mosque. The assailants burned down at least 6 houses, killed approximately 15 cattle, and looted over 1,200 head of livestock. At the end of the meeting, each participant wanted just peace and unity to reign once again in their community.
And now we talk something else. The Port Authority of Douala, PADE, says it wants to end the contract with Société Générale de Surveillance, SGS, due to alleged poor performance, including outdated equipment, contractual breaches and labor issues. PADE claims the 10-year contract expired on December 31st, 2025 and has appointed Transatlantic DSA as a new scanning operator. However, the Ministry of Finance disputes this, citing a contract signed in 2015 that extends SGS mandate until 2032, given that the fourth scanner was installed in April 2022. More with Fomi Armstrong-Sander.
The crisis at the Douala seaport began in 2015 when the government of Cameroon signed a 10-year contract with Société Générale de Surveillance, SGS, for cargo scanning services. The contract stipulated that SGS will install 4 scanners at the port, with the 4th scanner to be installed by December 31st, 2015. However, the 4th scanner was only installed in April 2022, leading to a dispute over the contract's duration. The Port Authority of Douala, the PAD, claimed that the contract expired on December 31st, 2025, while the Ministry of Finance argued that the contract's effective start date was April 2022, making it valid until 2032. In January 2026, the Port Authority of Douala awarded the scanning contract to Transatlantic DSA, leading to a dispute with SGS. Since then, the government of Cameroon has been divided, with some officials supporting SGS and others backing Transatlantic DSA. Amid the tension, a meeting was held at the Presidency of the Republic of Cameroon on January 21st, 2026 to discuss the scanning dispute. The meeting, convened by the Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Gongo, aimed to address growing tensions between the Ministry of Finance and the Port Authority of Douala over the cargo scanning contract. At the end of the meeting, it was announced that the Presidency has validated the replacement of SGS with Transatlantic DSA as the scanning operator effective January 1st, 2026. The Finance Minister came on State TV that day to say that he will only adhere to what the Prime Minister must have decided. On January 29, 2026, the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gutte, held a separate meeting at the Star Building, during which he ordered the Port Authority of Douala to maintain SGS contracts. However, these directives contradicts the Presidency's earlier decision. Conflicting waves of directives, which may lead to further operational disruptions and uncertainty at the Port of Douala. The situation remains unresolved, with potential implications for port operations, custom revenue, and national economic sovereignty.
For me, Armstrong-Sander reporting there. And now to one of our major lead stories tonight. The town of Banjul in the west region of Cameroon was rocked by tension on Thursday following the death of a man in his 40s who was arrested by policemen for alleged theft. Eric Taboué suddenly died hours after he was whisked from the family home. The family and the population debunked police statement that Eric died of a malaise. They took the body from the morgue and stormed the Banjul police station demanding justice. We have details with Innocent Aze.
This is the Banjul Public Security Police Station, stormed by a furious crowd after news of the death of an inhabitant in police custody spread across the locality. The deceased man, Eric Taboué,
was whisked from their family residence at about 2 a.m. on Thursday by elements of the Banjul Public Security Police Station.
Ils sont arrivés autour de 2 heures. J'étais chez moi. Et mon grand frère et mon cousin étaient dans la maison de la mère derrière.
Cedric Talom, brother of the deceased Eric Tabwe, says they knocked at the door saying they were policemen, which he doubted, thinking they were thieves in pretense. After a moment of reflection, he opened the door for the night visitors who went into his brother's room. They handcuffed and took him away alongside a gas bottle and his younger brother's motorcycle. At sunrise, some family members rushed to the police station to understand why Eric Tabwe was arrested. We were told to wait outside. Later on, my younger brother was caught inside. We thought it was for him to present the documents of his motorbike. While inside, he overheard some of the policemen saying one of the 2 suspects arrested that night died. My younger brother returned outside and called for me. While we rushed inside, we were asked the names of the 2 persons arrested. We gave the names and they said the one with a bandaged injured leg was inside, while the other, Eric Tabwe, had a malaise and was rushed to the hospital. While there, we discovered that he had passed away and his body already deposited in the morgue of the district hospital. Statement that their brother had a malaise did not convince them, given that traces of torture were visible on the corpse. They were rather sure he was tortured to death. When the director of the district hospital arrived, he asked for the receipt of the corpse and discovered that the corpse was not registered. The director told me that policemen came with an injured man at the hospital, but it appears he had died on the way. The news of the man's death, particularly the circumstances that led to his demise, angered the population, who know him very well as a mechanic to storm the police station in their numbers, seeking for justice. The tension that was gaining intensity was calmed down by the West Regional Delegates of National Security and other local authorities. They assured transparency around the investigation opened to shed light on the death of Eric in his 40s. They convinced the family and the protesting population to carry away the corpse deposited at the police station back to the mortuary.
And 8 newly elected members of the Southwest Regional Assembly's executive have been officially sworn into office on Thursday at the Southwest Court of Appeal. They are vowed to fast-track pending development projects and also address emerging challenges across the region. The ceremony, presided over by the panel of 5 judges, drew the attendance of the governor of the Southwest region, Benal Kalabilai, and also regional elites who pledged unwavering support to their new leadership. More with Rex Afon, who is our Boya-based correspondent.
One after the other, the 8 members of the executive of the Southwest Regional Assembly took their oath of office at the Southwest Court of Appeal.
I'm pledged to serve the interests of the region in compliance with the law and in accordance with the value of democracy.
They have pledged to complete pending projects in the region and also to tackle many more.
Priority number 1 is to build the headquarters of the Southwest Regional Assembly. We shall rehabilitate the road from Bangem to Tombel this year, and we shall also do the road from Trikona Ekombe towards Dikomebalwe.
We owe a responsibility to serve our people, and I want to think that I will assure you and assure the entire public that I will give it the best. To ensure the population of the Southwest region, traditional rulers in particular, feel the presence of the state in this region and in that house.
The swearing-in ceremony at the Southwest Court of Appeal was attended by Governor Bena Okalia-Bilai and elites of the region.
We are all calling on them to improve on their performances and to make sure that they touch all the corners of the region. We at the level of the Senate and those of us parliamentarians in general, we have not relented in struggling and trying to make sure that they get the necessary finances to be able to carry out their missions, and we'll continue to do that.
We hope they'll do the right thing, meet the aspirations of the people.
people are expecting a lot in development at a regional level, and you know, we can come to these ceremonies as many as we do, but unless our people start seeing the benefits trickling down across the society, then it becomes a farce.
Several persons have questioned the relevance of a regional assembly, but the President Bakoma Elango Zacchaeus has reiterated that they have a role to play for the development of the country, not just for the promotion of the democratic process in the country, but also for the development of the region. They have sworn with integrity to protect and work for the betterment of the interest of the region, Southwest. Reporting from the Court of Appeal, I am Rex Afon, Equinoxe Television.
Thanks a bunch, Rex Afon. Coming up next is Talking Point. Teachers in Cameroon are facing a multitude of challenges that is affecting their morale and also the quality of education. How is it like being a teacher in Cameroon, and what are some of the challenges these teachers face? You'll be having answers in tonight's edition of the program Talking Point, as I'll be having as guest a teacher who goes by the name Wilson TABI OBEN. He is a mathematics teacher in Boya. Good evening. It's a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight.
Good evening, Immaculate. I'm so delighted, and it's a golden opportunity for me to be a guest on Talking Point this evening.
On the front page of Emergence newspaper, it says 8,400 teachers left Cameroon in 3 years. That's enormous. We have seen teachers on occasions, on several occasions, storming the streets, denouncing very poor working conditions and equally poor wages. Several meetings were held, but the situation hasn't changed till date. With all this happening, can we conclude that these teachers who are leaving are fed up with the system?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. I can insinuate what is actually happening as lack of motivation. There is no motivation. You know, the human mind is insatiable. And most of those who are leaving were those who were not, the teaching profession was not like a vocation to them. It was a means of livelihood. So as when they got into the teaching profession, as time went on, the remuneration could not meet up with the family that was growing. Most of them entered when they were single. Then they are now married, then with children, with family relations. So the remuneration is not compatible, cannot measure with the lively demand, economic demand. That is why most of them, they have it in their mind that if they immigrate, if they migrate, they move to a foreign country, they may still do the job and maybe get a well-paid. They may get well-paid and maybe they may be able to solve some family situation. That is the main reason. And again, I can add that most of them did not make up their mind to enter the teaching profession. They were forced maybe by an uncle or by their father or their parents or their family relations who are in top-ranking position, who could buy their way in. They did not sit down to take a decision. That's why after some time, they look at it as if they are not being well paid, they are not actually having that job satisfaction. There's lack of job satisfaction. That's why they are changing domain. Some of them prefer to go and wash plates in foreign countries. They prefer to go and wash nightclubs rather than doing the teaching here in Cameroon.
But I see a problem with what you're saying, because we still have teachers who love their job and had that calling to become teachers, but they equally are complaining. Don't you see a problem with what you're saying? And also, we have poor salaries and lack of motivation that have been raised several times. Yet we have some teachers who barely join strike actions to demand for better working conditions. Is the problem faced by teachers a universal issue, or let's say specific to certain groups in Cameroon?
Thank you very much for that question. I think last week I just followed that there was a teacher strike in Gabon, teacher strike in Somalia, teacher strike in so many countries. The main problem is lack of motivation. you know there's what we call incentive. Incentive that tie the professional and the hierarchy. At the end of the term, a teacher may be given 500 francs as incentive or motivation allowance, 1,000 francs. In some bigger schools that are populated, they may have 3,000 francs to 5,000 francs. So no matter what the government pays them as salary, they expect something extra, something different from what they actually earn take at the end of the month. That's why if you go to the higher education sector, no matter what teachers earn, they expect their research and motivation, modernization allowance. When it's not paid, they always go on strike. So the key, what is causing, what is disturbing most teachers is that aspect of motivation, that tie, that pushes you, that you know that at the end of the term, you may have an incentive of about 200,000, but if you are not there, you may have 20,000. So that incentive, that tie, that stipend, we call it stipend, is not there. It's absent in the ministries of education.
As a teacher working in the Southwest region, what is it like working amid the ongoing conflict?
Yes, by the grace of God, I did good to myself. When I joined the profession, I started in the Southwest. At that time, places were calm. But I did not relent. I did not lie on the laurels on what I was earning as a single person. I still went back to school. I had to go and take a course in certified chartered accounting. I'm a certified chartered accountant. I was not satisfied. I still went back to take a degree in law and a master's in corporate law. Presently, I'm a certified chartered accountant and an expert in company law. That is what I do. That is why I still do my job. I still go and do my job satisfactorily. I'm so happy. During the period between 2016 and 2020, when there was that high uprising, we could not go. Where I used to work, I could not go. But after some time, I was eager. I have days that I go. I have that joy, I have that motivation to do my job because financially, I'm not desperate. I do it when I see young Cameroonians, I make them to get.
You said you live in the green zone. What about those living in the red zone where they are confronted with different kinds of insecurity, from burnings to destructions to killings? These people are facing enormous challenges doing their job as teachers despite loving the profession. Also, you know they're exposed to danger and without any security taking them to school. Despite this, how do you think this brain drain will affect Cameroon's future in the nearest time?
By the grace of God, I did good to myself. When I joined the profession, I started in the Southwest. At that time, places were calm. But I did not relent. I did not lie on the laurels on what I was earning as a single person. I still went back to school. I had to go and take a course in certified chartered accounting. I'm a certified chartered accountant. I was not satisfied. I still went back to take a degree in law and a master's in corporate law. Presently, I'm a certified chartered accountant and an expert in company law. That is what I do. That is why I still do my job. I still go and do my job satisfactorily. I'm so happy. During the period between 2016 and 2020, when there was that high uprising, we could not go. Where I used to work, I could not go. But after some time, I was eager. I have days that I go. I have that joy, I have that motivation to do my job because financially, I'm not desperate. I do it when I see young Cameroonians, I make them to get.
Now, what's the solution? How can we improve? Unfortunately, we'll not be able to continue with our interview due to some technical issues. And that's Wilson Tabi OBEN. He is a mathematics teacher. Thank you so much for your time. And that's what put a cap to tonight's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. Have a wonderful evening in the company of interesting programs on Equinoxe TV. Bye-bye for now.